Hey everyone, Rob Lally here. In today's video, I want to talk to you about a really important subject, and that is what's the difference between those entrepreneurs who go on to make it and succeed versus those entrepreneurs who go on to, fail or not make it or stay stuck in the same position, even though both groups of entrepreneurs might have had the same information, the same background, the same upbringing. Like, what's the difference there? And this is something that I really wish somebody would have told me earlier on in my career, because I was one of these people who was stuck in, group B here, the entrepreneur who couldn't move forward, right? And I feel I'm quite qualified to talk on this answer. And the reason why is through my consulting business, I have crossed paths with hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of entrepreneurs now, and I've heard different perspectives, different stories, like the pain points of different businesses, what's going wrong in different businesses, like different mindsets and things which different entrepreneurs have, like the ones that succeed and the ones that fail. And I've also been in the room with very high level entrepreneurs who, are doing 9 figures plus, and seeing how they work versus the ones who continue to spin the wheels. So I think it really comes down to 3 parts. The first part is execution. Honestly, like the group of entrepreneurs who continue to fail, they think they are working hard enough and working fast enough. Now, I used to be all about like hustle culture, work around the clock and everything. It's not healthy, right? But a lot of people aren't putting in the work at all. And it reminds me of kind of like the fitness industry. If ever you've seen like dieting programs, and there's a person on the dieting program, I'm sure you've all seen dieting programs where like they cannot lose weight. And they're turning to the camera, they're like, I've tried everything to lose weight, I've tried everything to lose weight. And they, throughout, they get on the scales at the end of the week, they've went up 10 pounds instead of lost any weight, and they are absolutely certain that they have basically been doing everything and following all instructions. And then the cameras reveal that this person has been snacking throughout the entire week, right? Because if it's science, you will have lost the weight if you've done what you were supposed to do, which is like cut back on calories, etc. So the same thing happens in like entrepreneurship. Most people believe they are doing everything they should be doing. And then when you actually break it down, most people aren't. So a good example of this is I had this client, he was like really struggling before he came to me, and basically I got him to track his time, what he was spending his time on throughout the weeks, and like what activities he was doing, because all he wanted to do was generate leads, right? Generate leads for his business. So we actually got him to track, I didn't tell him what I was measuring, but I said, just track what you're doing throughout the day for a week. And once he did this, I sat down with him and I was like, how hard do you think you're working on generating leads? He was like, I'm trying everything. I'm spending all hours of the day doing it. And then once we actually looked like objectively at his time tracking and where he was spending his time, he thought he was spending all day, every day, trying to generate leads. He wasn't. He was spending about an hour to an hour 15 a week trying to generate leads. But like the thing is like his reality and what he was experiencing and his perception was very different from what was actually happening, right? And this is a pitfall that most people fall into. They don't take a step back. And it's very hard to take a step back because your brain tries to convince you that that you're doing everything you possibly can, when realistically, you're probably not. And a great way to get around this is to actually get somebody who's going to hold you accountable. Somebody who's going to step in and be like, you said you'd do this. You haven't been doing this. Here's what you need to do, right? Because it's so hard to see in that situation. So execution is number 1. Thinking you're working hard enough on solving a problem, but you're actually not at all, right? You have convinced yourself you're working hard enough, but you really aren't. That's not what is mattering in real life, right? Number 2 is working hard enough and actually executing, but executing in the wrong direction, right? And again, this is a really tricky one to try and deal with, because I've seen so many people go through like They'll buy like an online course. You know, all you have to do is look on like Reddit or Quora and you'll see like, this person's a scam artist, I have taken their course and it didn't actually help me. And then you actually look into like what the person's complaining about and like they didn't really take the course. And I'm in lots and lots of different entrepreneur communities and I know this thing here is a frigging disease, right? People think that like they are following the steps of the program, but they're not. They are like missing out steps and making up their own steps and not specifically doing what the program is asking them to do. And as a consequence, not getting results, but they think they're doing the steps the program's asking them to do, but they're just moving in completely the wrong direction. So what this could look like in real life is if you took an online course, you have 10 modules in the online course, you might look at the first module and be like, I think I already know this. I'm gonna skip it. I'm gonna skip the action steps. Module 2, yeah, you know, that's some good points. That's some good points. I'll remember that. Module 3, I'll do this module. I'm going to do this module. And they actually take action on that module. Module 4 comes along. You know, I think I already kind of remember this. I think I'm just gonna pass this one. Module 5 comes along, they skim through it. Module 6 comes along, they, you know, end up actioning it. But out of the 10 modules, they only actioned like 2 or 3. And because of this, they have pivoted off into a completely random direction. And they have added their own thinking into it as well. And you have to remember that if this person has taken a course to solve a particular problem, the course they've taken is laying steps out specifically to solve that problem. And if they already knew how to solve this problem, they would already be doing it. Instead, what they do is they muddle in their own thinking and their own steps, don't follow the program exactly, and end up going and doing something else, right? Doing a hybrid of what they think should happen and what is, you know, what the program lays out. And as a consequence, they don't get any results. And this is a massive problem. So first one's executing, actually doing any work at all. Number 2 is executing in the right direction. If you're taking a program, be really like realistic with yourself, or, you know, you're reading a book or taking some sort of course or getting some sort of mentorship. Are you actually following like the results and like the steps that the program is laying out? Like, are you actually following the steps? Be really honest with yourself. Have you done every single action item that the course has recommended you do? Most people haven't. And as a result, most success rates for most courses are low, right? But it's not the course's fault. Like, it's usually like, you know, unless the course is poor quality, but it's usually the person who's taking it, which is why many people take several courses and see no results, because they're moving in the wrong direction and they're using thinking which hasn't worked for them so far and hasn't served them to actually, you know, try and get results from something. And it doesn't make any sense, right? So they're the first 2. The third one is luck. You can execute and be going in the right direction, but still not get much movement, right? A part of life is luck, and I don't know why nobody ever talks about this. Sometimes you can put out a post. I saw a person on LinkedIn the other day, they put out like a post and they instantly went viral, and it was like their second post on LinkedIn. They've now set up a business from this, and they now help other people, you know, make viral posts or something like that. I don't think that's a particularly good business model, because that has come from an element of luck. But basically, luck is certainly a factor, but luck doesn't happen if you aren't executing and aren't going in the right direction anyway, right? So you still need to execute and still need to go in the right direction. A good example of this is I haven't really had any like luck events. I've never really had a post which has just massively taken off and went viral, but because I've executed and had the awareness to know I'm going in the right direction, I have made progress anyway, year on year in like my business, and it's got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But I've had those as backup plans. And at some point, the law of averages says that I should probably get lucky. But you have to put yourself out there to get lucky, right? So that's a huge factor. Luck, you know, it's a random chance event, but you can increase the odds of getting lucky, right? And not many people understand this. So I had it was an old housemate, an Irish fella, and he went traveling to Australia. He landed like a great job before he went, and basically he quit it just to go to Australia. And when he was in Australia, like, he worked there for a little bit and then came back and worked here and landed back in a high paying job after he went traveling. So basically he had a high paying job before he went. He went to Australia, had a high paying job there, came back and had a high paying job. Now, a lot of people worry about, like, if they're gonna go traveling, they've got a problem with like security and like job security, where's the money gonna come from and everything like this. And when I asked him about it, he was like, you know, man, he was like, I just got lucky. I landed a good paying job there. I just got lucky I landed a good paying job at home, and got lucky that I had the ability to save some money to go to Australia with the savings from a high paying job before I went as well. And then we actually broke it down, and it was so interesting because even though he put it down to luck, he was constantly networking with people, constantly speaking with different people, constantly moving in the right direction and constantly executing. And basically he was making his own luck. Sure, he might have got lucky a little bit, but those luck events happened due to the action, the execution, and going in the right direction. So that's always something to think about. You should be executing and going in the right direction to then blow up and get big, right? And if you look at any like popular creator, whether it's Gary Vee, whether it's, you know, Grant Cardone, whether it's a smaller creator with 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, or, you know, 50,000 followers on LinkedIn or whatever, these guys have usually had one luck event which has happened from them executing, which has then brought people in and brought viewers in. And these viewers have then went through the rest of their content and watched all of that and then continue to watch the content in the future as well. That's a luck event, but it's only because they executed and went in the right direction as well. And it's important to break these down because not many people get them, man. Like, just not many people get them. They're just like, this person got lucky, or like, this program isn't working for me. And they aren't aware enough to know that they aren't executing or they aren't going in the right direction. They're all tough barriers to overcome, but if you get yourself mentors, you read books from great people, you take you know, courses which might have like a bit of a support where you can actually type a message to the person who, maybe like a trainer in the course, or maybe like the actual founder of the course, and you can actually have a bit of contact as well. It gives you that bit of support, and this person can pull you back on track. So that's what you should be looking out for, and that's the difference between the people who do really well and the people who don't do very well at all. Is these guys who do well have the ability to execute, put themselves on the right track and go in the right direction. And because of this, they can have luck events as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it made a lot of sense to you. I hope that if you're struggling a little bit right now, trying to get some momentum behind you, you take some tips that I've gave in this video and actually implement them. Always rely on self-awareness. And if you feel like you're not a very self-aware person, try and make an effort to develop it. Always be questioning, like, what can I do better? Is the reality of what's going on matching the reality of what I feel like should be going on, right? So I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one, guys, and take care.